The following is a Thorpe TV production brought to you in cooperation with Jack Thorfenson. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the SOCS Show, brought to you live from Mr. Holster's Ranch, way up north near the Canadian border. Let's have a big rousing round of applause, because here he comes, direct from the bar, Mr. Holster! It's always coming from a bar, Jack. Guy's such a lush. I tell you, Mr. Holster's the biggest. Oh, Mr. Holster, hey, that's me. Howdy, Parge. Yeah, it's me, Mr. Holster, and Jack. Jack, at least you could do is look at the camera, Jack. Come on, get in your director's chair. Seriously. We paid a lot of money for that damn thing. Howdy, Parge. Yeah, it's me, Mr. Holster, and of course, Jack. Well, no, I don't have a cigarette, Jack. I've got cancer, Jack. Would I be smoking? Yeah, you would be. I agree. You probably would be. Well, let's see what Jack got out. Let's see what you got out here, Jack. Imperial Jack Double IPA India Pale Ale from the Monroe. No, this is from the Rhinelander Brewing Company in Monroe, Wisconsin. Got him confused. I think Monroe is yeah, I think that's right up against Rhinelander or something. You take a peek at that. Imperial Jack Double IPA. This is a good little IPA, the granddaddy of them all. Imperial Jack, robust, malty, and heavily hopped. Who said jackrabbits don't bite? 8.5% alcohol by volume. Of course, the downside, it's only 11.16 fluid ounces. You're getting shorted a little bit. 75 IBUs, whatever that stands for. Let's pop the top on this one, as Machine Gun Kelly would say. Take the old pocket watch. There we go. Pour a little in the old ranch beer glass. I miss saying the old ranch shot glass. Those were good days. Oh my gosh, Jack. Seriously, Jack, maybe you should take a break from your pack of cigarettes once in a while to get the West Texas dust out of the glasses. Well, here we go. West Texas dust. Kind of chilly here today, only 68 degrees. Yeah, I actually had my old hunting coat on. Probably should have left it on for this part. As soon as I start drinking this, I better get cold. Spit it out! Spit it out! Yeah, we got to get every last bit out. I've told that joke before. I'm going to tell it again because I think the powers that be that run this outfit don't like it. So I'm going to tell it again. There was an Irish gentleman, a German, and a British gentleman, and they all went into this pub. Guy comes up from the bar and says, "What can I get you, gents?" The English guy says, "Well, blimey, I think I'll have a glass of whiskey." German goes, "Ja, what? Whiskey." Irish guy says, "Yeah, I'll take the same." Yeah, I know, bad Irish accent. At any rate, so bartender comes back, 3 glasses of whiskey, puts them down in front of the gentleman. The Englishman looks down at the glass and says, "Well, I can't drink this. There's a fly in it." German looks down, flicks the fly from the drink, drinks it right down. The Irishman looks down, grabs the fly, picks it up by its hind legs and goes, "Spit it out! Spit it out!" I like that joke. I tell you, I woke up this morning with a craving for nuts. I spent the whole day watching E-Bomi and the Real Cobra Burnout videos. Mr. Holster's getting old, but I still stare at the girls. I'm not so old that I've forgotten to take a look at them. I've just forgotten why. When I was young, I was a real skirt chaser. Nothing in a skirt was safe from me till I met that Scotsman. Yeah, he almost beat my brains out. Mr. Holster, though, he knows how to make a girl say yes. I ask her, am I bothering you? I went out with a gal one time, and she said, I don't do this normally. I said, well, that's okay. I'm a little weird myself. The next morning when we got up, I suggested maybe she wanted to nip downstairs and make us some French toast. And by the time I got down there, she had her tongue stuck in the toaster. I met a good-looking, sexy gal the other day who worked in a burger joint. She told me she could make a big boy in 3 minutes or a boy big in 2 minutes. You know, blind dates are just awful. I went on a blind date one time. The gal showed up with pigtails coming from each armpit. I don't know if Jack wants me to tell this story, but Jack almost hit Rosie O'Donnell in his car the other day, and he got out to apologize, and she yelled at him to just go around her, and he said, well, Miss O'Donnell, I'd really like to, but I don't have enough gas in my car. Well, there you go. I did the whole monologue, and I haven't even had my drink yet. I'm proud of that. Usually it takes me 2. Yeah, in the old days, it would have taken me 2 shots just to get the monologue out. Well, let's do it to the sunny slopes of long ago. That doesn't heat you up and cool you down all at the same time. See, most people would look at this glass as being half full. A lot of people would look at it as being half empty. Mr. Holster looks at it as being an excuse to open the second bottle and pour it in. As Jack says, you can't fly on one wing. All you can do is go in circles. This is what we're talking about tonight. I got out one of my Glock 21s because I found this to be kind of interesting. It's interesting how your choices on firearms change due to your circumstances in life. And I'm going to assume that everybody who's made it here to this, since we're over on Jack's channel, and the only people that are going to see it are subs, and know what's going on in my lot in life and needing to liquidate things and pay the insurance bill. Been going through things, and there are certain firearms I had that I kept backups on, this being one of them. I had 3 of these. Actually, I had 4 of them at one point. And it's easy to get rid of 1 or 2 of the backup at this point, because the point of having the backup is to have them there in case one goes down, you can get the other one repaired. The third one, you can cannibalize that if you can't get parts for them and they break down. They can always have 2 guns running, and then they'll last you, hopefully, the rest of your life. If it's the right gun and you have the right amount of parts put away and you have 3 of them, is my theory in life. And at this point, yeah, I think it's going to be awful hard for Mr. Holster to not have just 1 of these last him the rest of his life. So it makes the other ones kind of meaningless. And if it was the only firearm I had, then yeah, I'd keep 2 of them. So I had a backup, but yeah, at this point, Mr. Holster wouldn't need any more than 1 backup of anything, I would say. But what I found interesting is I'm going through things and deciding what to get rid of first. The first things that tend to go are the ones you don't shoot very well, which are a lot of them are range guns, because you don't spend enough time on them or with them to really get very good with them, unless they just happen to be some gun that's just made for you and you shoot it really well just out of the box, which should be all the guns you own, by the way. So there really wasn't, and Mr. Holster never had a lot of range guns. I didn't have a lot of range guns. I had that Browning high power, I would have classified that as a range gun because I never would have carried that or had any use for that at all except for to shoot it at the range. And of course, I sold that to buy my dog Spur, the German Shepherd. That's been gone for like 3 years. So I really don't have much of any that's just a straight range gun. I've got a couple guns that are, well, a good instance would have been the Colt I had that my father had given me with the Stag grips. But even that, I have single action 45s that I actually use that aren't range guns. That one, the same thing, could be used. It's not just a range gun. But anyway, as you go through these things, I've found since I have no range guns really, it's going to be either collectibles, and I don't really have any collectibles. I have some that might hinge on having some collectability down the road, future collectibles, or maybe even they're somewhat sort of collectible. About the most collectible thing I had was that Ruger Speed 6, which is long gone, and I wouldn't really deem that as collectible. It may have been desired by people to have it, but I really didn't qualify. I don't think that was a collectible either. But at any rate, as you go through them and you slowly start getting rid of them, at some point you got to start asking the question, which ones do you keep because you're just better with them than the others? So here we are, now that I've spent like 5 minutes talking about that to get to this point, the point is here we are with a 45 ACP, and as I start looking at my 45 ACPs, and I took them out and shot them the other day. My wife and I, when we were out there shooting them the other day, you'll find this interesting. Of all the 45 ACPs, the one I shot, and it depends what you'd say shoot the best, but the most precisely, let's put it that way, the ones I shot the most precisely, the Glock 21 was at the bottom of the pile. And I spent a lot of time shooting it at different distances because I'd never really put them head to head and shot them at the same time and compared them before. And so I ended up spending a lot of time shooting at different distances to get a feel for what was going on. And I figured out what my problem was. And it's not repairable or fixable. So hence, I got a lot of G21s to get rid of here with nice night sights on them that have never even been shot. I got out the book to see how many rounds I'd put through this, and I had never made an entry in the book. I'd never even shot this, apparently. This one was one that was just new in the box sitting there. Any rate, so as I was shooting these guns and shooting this one, I always liked the G21 because there's so much grip there that there's a huge stance here to place this hand, and I really get a good grip on it with two hands. But you know what I found? I found that because there's so much space on there, and I can grip it like that, that my grip was actually changing a lot while I was using the gun. Where the 1911s, yeah, not at all. And you see, this is the downside with the polymer guns. That nobody ever seems to talk about this, but this is a big downside with the polymer guns, is there isn't much you can do with this gun to change the grip other than make it larger. You can do a little bit of filing here. You could even take these finger grooves off here, file those off, but there isn't much you can do for this gun to make it a different grip than you have. You're pretty much stuck with how the gun comes. Of course, nowadays they're making the Gen 4s. This is a Gen 3. Nowadays they're making the Gen 4s with the replaceable back straps. Plus you could just leave the back strap off, which helps a lot. But I always thought I liked this better than my short frames, and I got rid of the short frames because I didn't want to go bouncing back and forth. I always thought this one was better for me because it was. It just feels so great when I shoot it. But I noticed I am actually moving my hand position quite a bit in between shots. Enough so that it's making a difference between the shot placing. The groups, once you get out at a distance, are opening up where they aren't on the 1911. So there you have it. That, and I like the 1911s. I'm sorry. I got to be buried with those. So, yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because if you would have asked me before the last couple of weeks when I started playing this and deciding what was going next, if you would have asked me, I would have said I shot this better than the 1911s because of all the time I've shot it and carried it. But the truth is, no, not really. And the trigger pull is not that much different. This has a New York 1 trigger, I think it is. It's an 8-pound trigger pull in this thing. Those 1911s I have are 5-pound trigger pulls. So they're a little lighter, and of course it's a cleaner break than this. But I've spent so much trigger time on these clocks that I was really surprised that when you got out at a distance, you could see the difference between this and the 1911. So that's where I am with that, because about the only thing you have in a firearm when it boils down to the very end is when you really start deciding which one's the best, it's which one you shoot the best, period. Yeah. I can do an adequate job with this, but I do such a better job with the 1911s, you see. Of course, the big thing here is the 13-round magazine. That's what makes those come out ahead. But that only works if you can shoot that, if you perform just as well with that as you do with a 1911 or whatever the other gun may be. Says I. That's the main thing. That's it. That's what it all is about, is shot placement and how well you do with that firearm to achieve that. And especially a natural state. The more naturally you shoot the gun right out of the box versus another one, you may be able to do as well with this by the time you get done. But what's the point? It seems like wasted effort and wasted money to go through all that ammunition to get this to the point where you can do it as well as the other. But I would have sworn that they would have been identical in my performance, but it's not. But maybe I'm starting to lose it. Well, there you go, guys. There's 17 minutes and 27 seconds of your life you'll never, ever, ever get back again. And another SOCS Show is put to bed. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Till next time, from Mr. Holster and Jack, go out and stay safe. 17 minutes and 53 seconds of your life you'll never, ever, ever get back again.